March 26th.
How are you, Sherry?
Oh, good.
Good.
Yeah, makes sense. All right. What do you think,
Yeah.
Thomas?
Just last minute of organization. Good evening. Welcome to the Charter Township of Van Buren Planning Commission. Meeting for Wednesday, April 9th, 2025. At this time, I'm calling the meeting to order. Could we all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, can we have a roll call, please?
Mary Budd.
Here.
Bernie Grant.
Here.
Peter Creel is excused. Nadina Atchison. Jackson Paul is excused. Jeff Jar.
Here.
Brian Cullen.
Here. We have before us an agenda. Do I have any action concerning the agenda?
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the agenda as submitted.
Support.
We have a motion to approve the agenda as presented and supported. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? We also have seen the minutes of tonight, of last meeting of March 26, 2025. Do I have any action concerning the minutes?
Mr. Chair, I also move to approve the minutes of the meeting of March 26, 2025 as submitted.
Support.
We have a motion, support, to approve the minutes from the regular meeting of March 26, 2025. All in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, moving ahead. Correspondence and announcements. Do we have anything?
Chairman, we have no correspondence or announcements.
Okay, at this time, we are adding into our agenda general public comment. It is at this time, if anyone in the public would like to make a comment about something that is not on the agenda, please feel free to step forward and introduce yourself and your address and go ahead and give us your feelings or thoughts. Do we have anyone from the public at this time? Anyone from the public? Anyone from the public? Okay, moving forward. We do not have a public hearing or old business before us, so the first item up is new business. It's case 19038, Camping World, final site plan amendment. A request by the applicant, Camping World, for an amendment to an approved site plan for modifications to the approved design and colors of the facade. The site is located at 43646 North Interstate 94 Service Drive. Do we have presentation by the staff? Director Akers?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So Camping World is seeking an approval of an amendment to an approved site plan for modifications to their approved design and the colors of facade. Changes to the facade have already occurred, and full build-out of the site and building are nearing completion as the business prepares for occupancy. The site is located at 43646 North I-94 Interstate Service Drive, which is between DeWitt and Morton Taylor Roads. The site originally received site plan approval in 2020 and since then has received approval for various amendments to the plans in June of 21, January 22, April 22, and April 23. The final approved design for the building included an asymmetrical angular panel and metal framing embellishment and a more subdued color scheme of Snowfall, which is like a light gray, Pussy Willow, which is a medium gray, and primary building colors, and Blue Chip, which is like a light blue accent. The proposed design is a flat rectangular roof, which is original to the building, and a modified color scheme of a light beige as the primary building color, in the navy dark blue of primary roof color, and cheerful bright yellow and iron ore, which is a bright yellow and a dark brown accent. Per the applicant, these are the new corporate branding colors. The applicant did make the changes without Planning Commission's prior approval. So we have a recommendation in our memo. In these type of situations, because of the stances that have been taken in the past, we typically do recommend that, we stick to what the originally approved design and the originally approved items were in the original plans. So our recommendation is the removal of the asymmetrical panel, metal accent framing in favor of a more typical flat roof design. Is supported in staff as it's more neutral mass and shape. Hang on, where I lost my spot. While the change in colors used beige, dark gray, and navy do not detract from the architectural appearance of the building, proposed yellow color is saturated and potentially distracting for drivers on the freeway. It also appears to be overused with the curb edges and bollards. So our recommendation in the review letter is to use the previously approved Pussy Willow, which is the medium gray, for the upper accent bands, and place the yellow through the building facade. So those are the recommendations we made. However, because this site is outside of the Belleville Road Overlay District, it's not subject to some of the strict color and architectural standards that we have in that area of the township. So the Planning Commission does have discretion if they choose so to allow them to continue. It would be okay within our zoning code. So based on that, I'm happy to answer any questions the Planning Commission may have.
Okay, thank you. The applicant, do we have the representative of the applicant? Please step to the podium and introduce yourself.
Hello, my name's Anthony Henderson. I'm with Retail Contractors. I'm here representing Camping World. I'm the general contractor on site and permit holder.
Okay. Comments? Commission?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask if the applicant could explain to us how they got to the position of having done the work and made the changes to a finally approved site plan without coming back to have it reviewed first. I'm just curious what was the timeline that led to us getting to this situation? the applicant could answer, I'd appreciate it.
I'll try to answer that the best I can. Obviously, I'm trying to speak for Camping World. I know they did a design change. They sent it to me as the general contractor to paint the exterior of the building. And to my knowledge, it was already sent to the township, which it had not. So that's kind of where we arrived after the fact. And I know it's not the correct way to do things. I completely agree that they took the wrong steps.
Mr. Chairman? If I
Yes.
can make just a general comment. I think that if the applicant had come to us in the first place before making the change to the final site plan, we would have looked at the change to the roof architecture and maybe even applauded it. I think it looks good. I think from a planning standpoint, a rectangular building is a better plan long-term than one that's got an architectural iconography. It makes the building easier to reoccupy should someone, business environment changes and someone needs to, sell the building or buy the building. I think it's a better choice long-term from a planning standpoint. I will say that I'm an alumni of the school, so I don't really disapprove of that color scheme. I think it's a little saturated and bright, but I think it will age into a less saturated color. I'm disappointed that after so many times in front of us, that the applicant didn't choose to follow the expedient path of coming and telling us the situation and informing us, because I think we could have just made it happen and sent them on their way. I hope that if they make any other changes, the general contractor is aware of the situation and will consider that before acting. Other than that, I'm actually okay with this set of changes. I don't care for the order in which they were performed, but the end result, I don't have a problem with.
Through the chair. I would agree with that. My granddaughter, those are her colors, so. I guess we have to do what we have to do. And like Jeff said, I wish they'd have come forward first. I do like the yellow, especially around the bullards by the fire hydrant, because people are not going to hit them. And of course, they wouldn't go through those anyway, but the curb cuts in the front, because it's a step up, you have to step over it. I think people will see that and not be as apt to trip. And I think the blue fencing or the black fencing around, that draws your eye as far as I'm concerned. I live close by, I go by it quite often, so like Jeff said, I would go ahead and approve what the changes they've asked for.
Commissioner Grant.
Through the chair, I'd have to admit that I wasn't part of the original site plan approval process, so I'm not sure what it changed from what it used to look like in rendering anyway.
It's that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least it
Yeah,
rendered.
I'd say I'm going to rely on our other chairpersons to make that decision, but the only disappointment I have, obviously, is how it was done. I mean, that's, we're trying to limit that, and we've had several other cases, and we've come down pretty hard on them to make sure, but usually they're an aesthetic response that doesn't, relate to the original design. I don't think this is a huge change, and I think from the standpoint of, for yourself as a business, for branding, it's probably better. The other building has a tendency to maybe fade more into the background, whereas if it's a business and you're trying to bring customers in, it's probably a better sale anyway. But the process was not done correctly. That's my biggest problem.
Unfortunately, I'm not part of that. I'm part of it, but I'm not part of it
but you're-
100%.
And tonight.
Supposed to be standing here,
It's
didn't
my
want to
hope
fly.
that he's the messenger tonight.
Yes.
Trust me, I 110% agree with you that it was not done the correct way. It's not the way we do things. It's just was wrong. But
Fortunately, you picked the right pair of colors.
I can't even say that I did that because I don't design them either. So.
any colors that may have reflected that school down south probably would have been rejected, but
No.
that's. I have no problem. I like it. I think it draws, but again, you're going to hear it. We want to hear the changes before they occur. And I know you're just the messenger at this point, at least. But I fully believe, and we're trying, and we're emphasizing, in fact, to those that are coming before us, any changes, please come before us before it occurs, to save money and save time. So, but I too have no problem.
And through the, I don't know if anybody's looked, but the Camping World sign is up there. It does now say Camping World, and so it kind of breaks all that dark color, so, yeah.
Okay. So at this point, I don't know. Commissioner Atchison, do you have anything to add on this? I know you just
No,
arrived.
I did drive by it, not today, but yesterday. It looks beautiful. I've missed everything. Forgive me for parachuting in, but I had an interview that couldn't make it in any sooner, so I'm here now. So thank you. But it looks beautiful. That's all I really know. So looks great. So thank you. I'm glad you guys are gonna put the open sign up soon.
Okay. Director Aker, did you have a comment?
I was just gonna, if the conversation's at that stage, I was gonna ask you, I hope you don't mind if I put you on the spot, but one of the questions that we get probably more than any other question in our office is what the status of the Camping World project is. I don't know if you would be willing to kind of give us an update on the project and where you guys are at?
Yeah, obviously, you guys know I think I'm the third general contractor, and this has been going on many years. The original plant site, the person that was in charge of Camping World for this job actually works for another retailer that I've worked with him before and never even knew he worked for Camping World. And when I got this job, I seen his name on it, and I go, oh no. So anyway, yes, so we are working through some issues with the previous general contractor that opened permits and didn't close permits and things like that. So I'm working with my subcontractors and myself to rectify that and make sure we're up to codes, and codes are to the standards that they're supposed to be, and we correct anything that comes up that the previous general contractor did. That being said, in the stage that the current project's at, in the next 2 weeks, we'll start the landscaping on the exterior of the building. The silt fence is going to come down in the next two weeks. DTE is on schedule next week to set the new transformer and turn our new power on. The old transformer is going to be going away. The interior of the building has been painted. We're working on the final touch-ups of paint. Low voltage has ran all their low voltage. The register, not the cash registers haven't been in, but the plumbing fixtures are going in. So we are probably, a week or two into, going for finals. The fire alarm's I brought in a fire alarm company, make sure we're up to date on fire extinguishers, fire alarms actively working. Camping World did do one good thing. When the building went down, they kept all their CTVs running, so they were constantly monitoring the building even though it wasn't occupied. So, which is really, stop vandalism and things like that, or anyone getting into the space. The containers are finally getting emptied after not knowing what was in the containers for many months. So the containers are going to be getting pulled off that site. I'm hoping next week. I'm kind of pushing Camping World to get those out of there because they really weren't my responsibility. But if I have to, I'll put them on a trailer and get them out. So yeah, we're getting really close. We're in the process of changing all the glass in the vestibule. A lot of it was old, cracking away. So we're real close. Hopefully, construction-wise, end of the month is what I'm looking at wrapping up. I haven't seen a schedule from Camping World as far as fixtures, merchandise, things like that, or when they're planning to open. But a lot of it lies on when I can get a certificate of occupancy and permission to open. So, but that's kind of the plan.
Thank you.
I saw a post on Facebook from Camping World that says they're trying to open on May 5th.
Okay, good,
So,
good. It'd be nice to see that building occupied.
Wish they would tell me that they're trying to open up.
I thought
But
I'd
of
tell
course,
you.
they didn't tell me they didn't change the colors neither. So, but yeah, we're working through it. But yeah, we'll be happy to see this close up for you guys, and it's gonna look good for the township, and it'd be good not to have an empty building, because the last thing we want to see is empty buildings.
Absolutely. Okay. Public? Anybody from the public wishing to speak? No? Okay, moving ahead. Thank you. Commissioners, do we have any action on this item?
Mr. Chairman, I'd be willing to entertain a motion, but before I do, I want to point out that my comments about the choice of school and the color scheme, those were made facetiously, and just so everyone knows, our master planning and citizen planner programs are all run through Michigan State University Extension. We all go to the green and white, and that was completely facetious and has nothing to do with the action that I'm about to propose. Mr. Chair, in the matter of case 19038 Camping World final site plan amendment, I would move to grant the applicant Camping World an amendment to an approved site plan for modification to the approved design and colors of the facade at the site located at 43646 North Interstate 94 Service Drive. This being based on the analysis and subject to the conditions that were detailed in the letter from staff dated March 25, 2025, with no other feedback and concerns from, other than the ones noted regarding order of operation. Humbly submitted for support.
Support.
We have a motion by Commissioner Jars, voted by Commissioner Grant. Could we have any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Medina Atchison,
Yes.
Bernie Grant,
Yes.
Sherry Budd,
Yes.
Jeff Jar,
Yes.
Brian Cullen.
Yes. You're all set. Moving ahead, we are at item number 2, case 25-011, TNT Fireworks, Walmart site, temporary land use. The applicant, TNT Fireworks, is requesting a temporary land use permit to conduct temporary outdoor fireworks tent sale. It is located at 10562 Belleville Road. This site is located in the Walmart parking lot, which is on the west side of Belleville Road, south of Tyler Road. The activity is proposed from June 20th, 2025 to July 6th, 2025. Could we have presentation by the staff, please?
Thank you. TNT Fireworks has applied seeking a temporary land use permit for a tent sales of fireworks at Belleville Road Walmart, store 2872. At 10562 Belleville Road, the use is proposed to be from June 20th, 2025 through July 6th, 2025. Per section 7.120 of the zoning ordinance, temporary land uses that operate more than 7 consecutive days require planning commission approval. My review consisted of adequacy of parking and access, adequate drainage, compatibility with surrounding land uses, size, height, and type of construction of proposed buildings and structures in relation to surrounding site, sufficient setbacks from roads, right-of-way, and lot lines, adequate utilities, trash disposal and site cleanup, sanitary facilities, hours of operation, outdoor lights and signs, other licensing and permits required, potential noise, odor, dust, and glare, fire lanes, fire protection and security, off-site impacts of traffic volumes, necessities of performance bond to ensure prompt removal, other concerns which may impact the public health, safety, and general welfare. With recommendation, TNT Fireworks has operated at this location for over 12 years. Staff is not aware of any issues or concerns from the tent being in operation at this location over the past years. I recommend approval of this application subject to the following conditions: that the proposed signage complies with the zoning ordinance, and all application materials shall refer to Van Buren Township and not Belleville as the jurisdiction of the project site. And I do have the fire marshal letter dated March 25th, 2025, which states this site plan review for temporary firework retail facility included in the permit application package as a letter of authorization signed by TNT and Walmart representatives. Also included in the site plan for the stand showing the location of the tents as it sits in the store parking lot, as well as proof of insurance and the Van Buren Township application for temporary land use. The temporary facility and the retail sales of fireworks must comply with the NFPA 1124 as required by the state of Michigan and the Township of Van Buren. Upon approval from State of Michigan Bureau of Fire Services, the issuance of a tentative permit to sell fireworks, the site will be inspected by the Van Buren Township Fire Department. A detailed floor plan showing the location of tables, displays, and exits shall be kept on the site of the CFRS location. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The applicant.
My name is Chuck Freeze with TNT Fireworks. As you mentioned, we've been here a few different times over the last couple years, and appreciate the opportunity to come back and apply again and sell some fireworks for this 4th of July season. And if you have any other questions from what she had said, I'm here to answer.
Okay, thank you. Planning Commission. Questions, comments?
Mr. Chairman?
Commissioner Jur.
May not have been included in the packet. Did staff receive a diagram showing the location of the fire extinguishers with respect to the exits and entrances of the tent?
A diagram of them. There is explanation in the letter of where they will be located. Number 8 says there will be fire extinguishers placed at each exit, 3 total, 2 10-pound ABC, and 1 water cannon.
Okay. I think that's all right. Usually we ask for a drawing of it. And I think that this year we're going to make that as a condition of approval, that next year's packet. And before you start this tent, I want to have a picture of it with the map. It doesn't have to be anything but a rough sketch, but we want it in the record, I think.
Would we add spec of the storage container as well? Or is that, did I miss that?
Yeah, it's on the site plan.
I know it's noted here, the green box would be a 8x20 storage container, but it,
Yeah, some of the applicants actually show us what the,
right, what they put it in, what it,
is it required to have the specification for the storage container, Director? If I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, could I ask the Director? please?
Sure, please.
Is that a requirement that we have a specification for exactly what the container is included in the packet?
Typically called out in the code, but we can ask for it. Absolutely.
Anyone else? Okay, with that, do we have any comment from the public?
I'm not allowed to ask a question right now, am I? Because it's public comment, or can I ask one question?
Go for it.
I honestly just copied what I've turned in the last couple of years, but I can definitely get you those items. And when you mentioned about terminology for Van Buren versus Belleville, do you know where at in the application I might have?
Oh, you're gonna make me look. Hold on.
There was, so
Or two, but
I think the applications that you guys use when you resubmit, like we've updated a lot of our applications to change the verbiage from Belleville to Van Buren Township, so.
On the
that-
top of yours,
It's at
right
the
there, where it has on it, that states it, and I put it on the other one for the other gentleman, so it was only fair I put it on yours as well.
All right. Yeah. Walmart.
Get you the updated applications. I can email them over to you so you have them for next year.
Perfect, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'd
Yeah.
ask staff, check that the insurance certificate also says Van Buren Township. There's a lot of text on here. I can't read it quite now. Just double check it, because I think we had that happen one year.
Anybody else, comments?
Question?
Question?
Are we gonna require, as part of this, for him to submit the plan with the tent and the fire extinguishers and the spec this time, or for that?
If I was going to, may I?
Yes,
discussion?
please.
If I was going to make the motion, I would say conditional upon the applicant supplying the drawing of the tent. At this time, I don't think I'd make the requirement for the, for the container, because it's not specifically spelled out, but for consistency across other applications, we really like to know and see plainly that you've got it, set up right. You've got to maintain all of that stuff on site anyway. You can just draw it out.
That's not a cardboard box.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It could be anything at this point, right?
Container
We
for
know we know
mobile.
what you're gonna do, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know Rick does over the top everything. He does a good job with Phantom.
Okay, anything else?
No.
Then I would entertain an action concerning this item.
Mr. Chair, I would
Commissioner Jar.
in the matter of case 25011, TNT Fireworks at the Walmart site, temporary land use request, I move to grant the applicant TNT Fireworks temporary land use approval to permit a temporary outdoor fireworks tent sale at the site located at 10562 Belleville Road in the Walmart parking lot from July 20th to July 6th, 2025, based on the analysis and subject to the conditions detailed in the letter from staff dated March 14th, 2025, VBT Fire of March 25, 2025, with the condition that the applicant supplies a drawing of the fire extinguisher locations for inclusion in the packet.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Jar, supported by Commissioner Grant. Do we have any discussion on the motion?
Through the chair, are we making this conditional approval then? Is that what you guys are supporting for this request?
My intent on the motion is that as long as the applicant hands in a drawing that shows these are the fire extinguisher locations, and staff has verified that the drawing is included in the
Okay. I
application.
was afraid that we didn't include the staff to be the administrator of going, okay, this looks good. I don't want to slow the applicant down.
No, my intent is not for him to have to come back and
Thank
show it to
you.
us. I believe this is a staff.
Yep.
And if you feel I need to amend the motion, I'll do that, but I think it's understood from staff. Yeah. Good call. Absolutely not my intent to make you come back for it. I just want it included going forward.
No problem.
Okay, any other discussion on the motion? Then can we have a roll call vote on this motion, please?
Sherry Budd,
Yes.
Bernie Grant,
yes.
Medina Atkinson,
Yes.
Jeff Jar. Yes. Brian Cullen.
Yes. You're approved. Hopefully, the price doesn't go up too much. Okay, we are at item number 3. Housing Master Plan presentation from McKenna. And I believe we have our planning consultant, Mrs. Vidya Krishnan. Please, the floor is yours.
Presentation, the screen looks a little, how do I get it to the presentation mode? Oh, yes, I'll do that. So good evening. Today is a presentation of the housing grant that Van Buren Township received from the Michigan State Housing Development Authority. And we wanted to bring the Planning Commission up to speed on what has been done so far and what the next steps are towards culmination of this project itself. Donovan apologizes that he couldn't be here tonight to present it. He had to be there at another meeting at another client's where a project, nobody else can replace him in presentation for that. So I said I would take over this since we both are working on this specific project. So with that, let me go to the, okay. So one of the main objectives of the grant itself from MISTA was the end result should be the adoption of zoning ordinance language or a master plan that addresses housing needs in the community. That is the sole goal when the $45,000 grant was awarded. When this grant was given to various communities, the key is it addresses housing needs in municipalities. So we already have a redevelopment ready community certification. We got our RRC certification, which is a great step towards that, which identified the priority sites. We also have a master plan that was done not so long ago that identified housing as one of our needs. So the main goal of this particular study is going to be an end result that identifies a series of zoning text amendments and comes up with those zoning text amendments that will address the housing need, the missing middle housing need in the community. That is the crux of this whole study itself. So we are actually implementing the master plan. Our master plan basically, as we know, is a vision. It's a goal for the community for the next 20 years. But the zoning ordinance is what translates the master plan into a reality. And this particular study helps us translate the vision that the master plan had with relation to housing into a reality through a series of zoning texts itself. Not only will this particular study identify the gaps in missing middle housing, it will also help in analyzing all of the residential districts within the township, within our zoning ordinance, and try to fill in any gaps that we might have. Because most of our residential districts were drafted a long time ago. Over a period of years, the Planning Commission has revisited some of these districts. You visited building separation requirements. You visited adding single-family detached small lots in the RM district. You have taken steps towards addressing the changing housing market. But this will provide for a more comprehensive overview of all of the districts and provide for that missing middle housing itself. So this sum total at the end of this study is going to be a comprehensive strategy for how we are going to improve our zoning ordinance itself. So the Michigan State statewide housing plan, it has got a series of priorities in the program. Now, each of these priorities comes with this whole set of goals and objectives. If you look at this plan, if you even just go to the Michigan State website, if you go to the state government website and you type in the statewide housing plan, it'll pull up this document, which is pretty voluminous, and it has got each one of these program priorities listed in it, and each one of these priorities then has a series of goals and objectives, just like a comprehensive master plan. It's no different than a master plan, but as it relates to housing in the entire state. The underlined statements are what we have focused on this plan for Van Buren Township. Our program, when we are looking at this, is an analysis of the housing stock that we have in the community. That is one component of the study that we are doing. The second one is older adult housing. By that, we mean taking a look at multi-generational housing. We are not only taking a look at housing for younger families that are coming into the community. As we all know, homeownership is the American dream, right? Everybody aspires to have homeownership. But with the cost of housing, as it's steadily been increasing over the past decade, homeownership has started steadily going out of reach for younger families. So not only is the study trying to address what are the housing needs for young families, maybe those who are just out of college and who want to move, not necessarily buy a home, but who want to move into an efficiency style house or an apartment? What about young couples? There are young people who don't necessarily want to have large families and move into suburban homes with 3 bedrooms and 2 baths. Maybe they just want to have a small home. They just want to have 2 bedrooms, 1 bath kind of arrangement. They don't necessarily want to have the traditional subdivision kind of living. What about young families that want the traditional kind of subdivision living with sidewalks, fully laid out front porches? What about people who are born and raised in the community all their life and can no longer take care of a single family home, but want to live in the same community where they have lived all their life, aging in place? So this study is also going to take a look at multi-generational housing across the whole sphere of the population, starting from when home ownership starts till the whole span of your life. It also looks at equity and racial justice. That basically talks about attainable housing. Housing has not always been attainable to all population groups. The state housing plan, actually, if you look at it, it's got some very interesting statistics on exactly how home ownership has actually been out of touch for some population segments and why it has been out of reach for some of them. And so basically, this portion of it also looks at attainable and affordable housing. Not all types of housing are affordable or attainable to all groups. And that attainable housing, like I have previously also explained, affordable housing is a term that is not as often used as more. After all, what is affordable to one group might not necessarily affordable to another group. Attainable housing is the more realistic term because attainable housing is based on the median housing income of that area. What is attainable in one area is different than what is attainable in another area. What would be considered as attainable housing in New York City is way different than what is considered as attainable housing in, say, Van Buren Township, Michigan. It's markedly different, and that is based on the median household income. And that's why attainable house income and attainable housing varies from place to place. Housing ecosystem. When I first came across the term, I was like, what on earth is housing ecosystem? I was like, what does that even mean? So housing ecosystem is basically a catch-all phrase. It is a term that coordinates all aspects of housing, excepting the house itself. It is all the secondary aspect. It coordinates the different types of houses. It is a one-stop shop for contractors, system of communication, the database of what the market needs are, where market studies are. It'll be the one portal where you will be able to acquire all the information regarding housing and the needs in the community, in a particular community. That is housing ecosystem, all the background information. So these are, whatever is underlined is the key points of focus that we have taken into account in the study that we have done. That will be the background information that will support the study for Van Buren Township. So the program objectives is to provide an adequate supply of housing for new and existing residents that reflects the development trends, to provide multi-generational housing which allows residents to age in place, to cultivate vibrant neighborhoods with a mix of use, sense of community, and high standards of design. You don't want to have homes where people just drive straight in, pull in, get down into their garage, go into the garage. You never see anybody else because from the house, you go straight into the garage, drive your vehicle, reverse, and you're out. So nobody ever sees anybody else. You want to actually create neighborhoods where people actually want to be out in their yards, homes with porches, create more of a sense of community. To that end, we want to develop additional zoning districts possibly, or regulations, modify existing zoning districts, modify existing zoning regulations to accommodate compatible housing within and near commercial areas. And I'll tie this into the 3 areas concept plans that we have identified, which I'll discuss in the slides further. Align the objectives of our study with the State of Michigan Housing Plan where it is applicable. So what we did is, in order to show and meet the requirements of this grant, one of the requirements is show how it would apply to your community. We have to show how it would work out in application. So in application, we picked 3 sites within the township that we thought would be perfect candidates. 2 of the sites we picked were directly out of our RRC development plan. Our redevelopment Ready Communities Plan, if you remember, identified priority development sites. and 2 of the 3 top priority redevelopment sites were the Lakewood Shopping Center at the corner of I-94 Service Drive, and one was the Fordland parcel across the 181-acre parcel, as we call it. We also identified a 3rd parcel that is in the southern portion of the township at the corner where Hull dead ends in Martinsville. We are calling it the Hull-Martinsville multi-generational parcel. So we decided to pick these 3 parcels as a concept study to show how different housing types can be accommodated. And we developed concept design plans for each of these. So when we talk about missing middle housing or middle housing, what do we mean by that? It is a range of medium density housing that fills a void in Midwestern communities. Now, these type of heavy, dense, or medium density homes are pretty common along the East Coast and in more populous cities like Boston, New York, all of those cities. You find these very commonly, but it's not as common in the Midwest, where we are more used to larger yards and homes. So missing middle housing typically would be duplexes, bungalow court, fourplexes, multiplexes. Multiplexes can be even 6, 8, 10, or 12 units attached to each other. Townhomes and live workspaces, where these units are approved for, you'll have your office space at the bottom. It will be an office use, and then you'll be living on top. So they are called live workspaces. So these are considered as various type of missing middle uses. And the graphic that you see up on top, it is actually a standard that is used by APA, American Planning Association, also to depict what exactly is missing middle housing. It starts off detached single-family homes, the traditional, and from that missing middle segment goes to duplex, triplex, courtyard, bungalow court, townhouse, multiplex, live work. And then you go to mid to high-rise apartment series, which is totally multiple family. Multiple family on one end, single family detached on the other end, rest everything forms the missing middle segment or the middle segment of it. So this is an example of a mixed residential development. I believe Donovan presented this slide to you before. It shows how if we take a parcel, this has got a mix of all types of housing. You have some apartments, you have some duplexes, you have some townhouses, you have some live workspaces up in front. You have mixed-use buildings over there where you have probably retail or commercial on the ground floor, and you have condo units on top along the frontages of the street. And then further in, you have townhouses, you have higher density apartments in the back, and then you have duplexes and more of a courtyard type of development in the back over here. So this is an example of a mixed residential with retail component in the corner. So these are some of the more dense mixed residential, mixed use concept sites. The first of the sites that I want to show you for which we developed a concept is the Lakewood Shopping Center. Some of the key points about this is it's approximately a 20-acre parcel. It's currently zoned C1, which is our general business district. The future land use for this parcel in our master plan is mixed use. It is designated MU. So the proposed use for this that we believe it is ideally suited for would be residential, mixed use, some public municipal use because it is in close proximity to Van Buren Park, and also provide a park connection itself. The primary road access is to Rawsonville Road. It is also located on I-94 Service Drive. Now, what we have to consider in terms of keeping the master plan in mind, the master plan does recommend rezoning this to mixed use. And in order for our concept plan that we are presenting to you to become a reality, if you should so choose to go down that road, the mixed-use district would need to be modified in order to allow for some of the uses that we are presenting in your concept. So this is the former Kmart site. This concept plan envisions a redevelopment of the entire site. So taking down everything and considering it as a clean slate, redeveloping the site in its entirety. What you see in this red or orangish box, that would be commercial or retail. Commercial retail would be along the frontage on I-94 Service Drive and along Rawsonville, because that's where commercial would be most viable. So then you have the buildings that are in orange. These would be multifamily residential. You would have it right behind your commercial itself, acting like sort of from one intense to multifamily is also considered intense use, so it would act as a transition. Then you would go to a traditional mixed use, which is sort of the pinkish shade. Mixed use would now have, mixed use in this case is envisioned as having service-based uses on the ground floor, such as maybe coffee shops, maybe having a takeout restaurant, a hair salon, or something that services the residences that are located within this development itself. It provides for a service. And the upper stories, this area can accommodate 3-story buildings. You can have 2 stories up of condos and residential units. It's not in close proximity to any other dense single-family residential. It's got commercial all around it. So a higher 3-story building will not have an impact on any existing single-family residential neighborhoods either. You're looking at the light yellow. The light yellow would be townhouse residential. We also added a little bit townhouses to the southern end so that they can take advantage of the fact that you have Belleville Lake to the south and to the east. And then you have a little bit of sort of small units like cottage court type of unit development over there. Smaller units, individual cottage courtyard type of setting. We added a couple of blue buildings in case there are any civic type of buildings. These can also, if civic uses are not envisioned in this area, they can also double up as office use buildings. So these are, it is important to remember that all of these buildings are generally shown anchored around a center green space. And the center green space is what creates connectivity between the whole thing. It's important to remember that this is a concept plan. It is not intended to address stuff like having only one point of access for fire or not. The intent behind this is to showcase what variety of buildings can be accommodated on a site such as this. What type of buildings the site can take advantage of based upon its location. Its location at a service drive and a major road such as Rawsonville makes it ideally placed to take advantage of commercial uses along the frontage. Also, higher intensity multiple family residential, such as apartments. It can even be like maybe 6 units. You can have mixed uses with retail on the ground floor and condo units on top. You can also have townhouses. It is a variety of mixed residential uses all around a center green space, all connected like a neighborhood through a system of sidewalks and providing a connection to the park and the lake to the south. So this is the initial concept plan. This concept plan will be one of the concepts that is presented at the public engagement session on April 30th, where we will solicit feedback from the community to get their input on what do they think about such kind of development in this location. What do they think about such a mix of uses? What is their idea? Do they like such a mix of uses? Do they like the density of uses? Do they like the location where it is proposed? Do they like the idea of redeveloping the shopping center with this kind of mix of uses? So this is the first site that we developed a concept plan for. If you have any immediate thoughts on it, we did not include this initially in your packet because we were still fine-tuning this till yesterday. So if you just want to digest it, that is fine too. You will have all the time from now until April 30th to provide us with your thoughts, your feedback. We will supply you with these concept drawings after the meeting. I'll make sure that it is emailed to all of you. So please feel free to digest it and email me back your comments, your thoughts, your concerns, and all the way up to April 30th. And you'll be attending that public engagement session too. So if you want to bring your thoughts even then, that would be fine too. So any initial thoughts right off the bat when you look at it?
What is 10-plex?
10 units attached.
Okay.
In one. 10 units. They might look like townhouse. They might have individual entrances from the ground level itself, or they might be 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, all attached in the middle. So it's just a variety of unit arrangements.
What is up in the left-hand corner, what is that color, the purplish up there? what is, it?
This one?
Yeah. What was,
the existing fast food restaurant. There's something over there already?
Denny's. Denny's. It's closed.
Denny's is closed.
Yeah.
Denny's is closed, been closed.
But I think the idea is it would be a commercial use.
Yeah, it would be a commercial use. It's not part of the Lakewood Shopping Center, so we didn't touch it because the owner is different. This gives for a single, this whole property is owned by Shostak, Shostak Brothers. So
Okay.
when you develop a single concept plan, the idea of marketing something to a company, because right now this property is for sale, and from what Ron and I saw, Shostak is marketing it for light industrial, distribution, warehouse, commercial. That's what they posted on their website. I don't think they really realize what the potential of this parcel can be. We want to show them this is its potential. You don't want industrial and warehouse, it's near the lake. I mean, it's got so much vibrancy to it.
It's near the
It's
park.
perfect for redevelopment.
It's near the lake. Plus, anything, if you actually did this with the density of people, any surrounding commercial is just going to be more vibrant.
Exactly, exactly.
And people are going to want to be there. The only immediate comments would be the development along the lake.
Right,
And
okay.
maybe that would be more, I like, the central square makes sense. But some pathway attachment to the lake so it leads back to pathway there. I know that you have small, single-family housing. I know that probably to a developer selling that's probably more
Are you,
valuable, but you could create a park-like setting along
Are
the
you-
lake for everyone, other than the park.
You mean a public use
Yeah,
space kind of
something,
thing over
yeah.
there?
But
Okay.
other than, I know there's a big park next to it, but,
are you saying it, like, have a pathway to the park?
and this is a concept, so the thing is.
I like that
that
idea.
there's- I mean,
You
the
know,
other
to
thing
be
is.
able to walk to the sled
Yeah.
hill versus having to park a car there.
Because people
Or
might
go to
visit
the
the park in the
beach.
wintertime and go
Mhm.
across to the hot chocolate shop, or something like that.
Key things that we wanted to focus on, park connection.
Right.
I mean, it defeats the
Yeah.
whole purpose of this park. So you're so close to the lake, you're close to Van Buren Park. So any development that is over here should definitely try to provide a connection
Yeah.
to the park itself. And if you're going to have so many new residents over there, I mean,
Be a great place for a
Why not?
marina.
We'd go through with all them houses down there.
yes.
Oh, is there a way to get through?
I don't know, because there's houses all along
Treasury-
that road that went down there.
Yeah, is there a way to connect, because there's private residential housing behind there? We can see the rooftops
Yeah.
through here. Could we go through there?
There may
'Cause
be a
that would
way
be
to.
great to market that you can go swimming, the lake's right there, the beachfront next to the rowing
Explore
house.
if there is any right-of-way or land available to provide for that connection.
W-
I
We'll have to see if the parcel in the back connects to Van Buren Park in any way. I know along the service drive, they've installed the pathway which leads into Van Buren Park on the north end. We just have to identify some options on the south end.
Yes.
Is this the last slide in the presentation?
No, it's not.
So you were really just asking for comments on the concept? Okay, just so that I know going forward, I think you answered part of the question, but for these concepts, these are on parcels that are owned by, they might be for sale, they might not be for sale. Did we consult with the property owners before including them in this presentation?
No, we did not, because these are identified in our RRC plan as redevelopment sites. So we definitely know people who are owners of this parcel. So definitely this particular Shostak Brothers, once we develop a concept plan, that is something we can definitely approach. But it would be premature to approach them and say, we think something can be done over there, and have them ask the
That
question, what
leads-
exactly are you thinking we can do over here? So.
That sort of leads me to my next question. These examples that you're showing, these are just, happen to be parcels within the township that you identified, but there may be other parcels in which a concept like this may work. The point of this exercise is not that Van Buren Township is going to go out and build public housing.
Oh, absolutely
This-
not.
This is something that's intended to signal to property owners and developers that the township at an administrative level is open to this sort of development and would not, you don't need to come and convince us this is a good idea. We already know it's a good idea. Van Buren Township is ready for this kind of development if you're ready to build it somewhere in Van Buren
Right.
Township.
Part of the grant requirement is for the township to demonstrate that we have a vision for what we want to see in the community. So these concept plans help us actually tailor zoning text
And-
amendments.
And what else does the grant, what else can we use that grant money for?
Specifically towards, actually, part of it is developing these kind of concept plans, doing a housing analysis, our housing stock analysis. That's what we used it
Which
towards.
is also used to show developers that we've done the homework and that this is the
Yes.
type of development somewhere in the township. This
a
kind
need
of
for it.
development, there's a need for it. This is the kind of thing we like. Look, we've even thought about it on maybe these 3 example parcels as an example.
Exactly.
This isn't, we're designing this for some developer out of the goodness of our hearts.
Oh, no, this is concept, this is concept.
Just want to make sure.
Yeah,
I just
no.
want to make sure we know that. Yeah.
These are concept drawings to show people that when we are doing the housing study, we are envisioning a mix of housing types, and this is how it can fit into existing, how this, the Lakewood Shopping Center is for all means and purposes. Yes, it's got 1 or 2 businesses, but for all means and purposes, it's a gray field site, which is basically predominantly abandoned shopping center.
And I just wanted to make sure my head was
Yes,
framed
no,
in the
we are
right
not going to insist
spot.
anybody has to build this or anything. This is a concept to show people what is possible and how missing middle housing can be accommodated
Got it.
and redone on existing parcels.
Thank you,
Yes.
thank you.
Just clarification, when you say, well, this is missing middle housing, ownership, right, versus rentals? Is that ownership missing middle, is that correct? For people to own the units or the
Say
housing?
non-rentals, this is, you have to own these condos, these townhouses, these duplexes versus rental.
Ownership, because that's what I assumed the missing middle was, so that people could afford.
We want you to own it.
I mean, I
Right.
suppose it could be either.
It could
depends on
be
the
either. I
developer.
don't think housing directs you whether you can own or you must rent. It does not, I do not think you can regulate it saying you must
Yeah.
own or you must
I
rent.
think the assumption, though, is the American dream is to own a house, not rent a house.
Right.
You know, so that's where I think
Be-
Commissioner
Because
Grant
ownership
is
of these
going.
should be cheaper than buying a property with a house on it, right?
Yes, ideally, people would like to buy a home, but you cannot mandate that this is for you only if you buy it. No, you cannot do that.
Mix of condos and rentals.
Yes, it could.
Condos can be owned individually and rented, right? So it, of course.
if the
it flows.
HOA allows it.
Yeah.
So is there current developments right now that we have rentals within that same development and ownership?
In our community.
The only one that I can think of is Cobblestone Creek. So they
Oh,
have single-family homes that are in the subdivision, and there are attached condos that are in there. And there was attached condos built pre-2008, and then there's attached condos that are currently under construction by Infinity Homes, and those ones that are under construction by Infinity Homes are rentals.
There it is.
Built single-family subdivisions in Canton where the homes are rented. You cannot regulate ownership. People buy the homes and then they just rent it out to somebody else. You cannot say just because you buy the home, you must live there.
Yeah, but in some of the HOAs, they don't allow rentals. Whether the HOA will enforce that or not,
Yeah,
you
that,
know, is
yes.
another.
That is HOA dependent, but I don't think the township as a whole can say you shall build only to sell.
Right.
I don't think the township can do that. So the second site that we looked at was the Martinsville. This, I don't think we have spoken about this site before. This is where Hull Road ends in Martinsville. This is south of the Cobblestone Creek, right? That is Cobblestone Creek, Ron? That is Cobblestone.
No, that is Country Pond.
Keep mixing it all up. So, Country Pond. So this site is previously partly farmed and it is partly wooded. This site is also approximately 20 acres in site. It is currently zoned agriculture and estates. The future land use is low-density, single-family A. Proposed use is attainable multi-generational housing. So the master plan considerations would be to rezone this to R1A, single-family residential, or to RM district. When you say RM, it would allow a mix of multiple family and detached single-family small lot development also. This would be interesting because it is located in the southern part of the township, and there is not too many places where most of these areas are agriculture and estates, and that is where you have place for residential homes. Now, the concept plan for this is not intense, even though it's a 20-acre parcel. The way the concept plan is designed is it includes, if you look at the periphery, all the light yellow on top, those are all single-family residential lots on the top of your screen. And then if you go over here, when you come to the east side of it, these are all like duplexes. These square boxes would all be duplexes or singleplexes. Those are all small ranch homes. Those are ranch homes for people. And these are also, in the middle that you see, these are also intended as multiple family units, but they are ranches. They're designed as ranch dwellings. So some people prefer ranch style living to living like two-story apartments. So those can even be, like if you look at these units, they're all connected. These might be 16 plexes, but they're all ranch. They're ranch connected units.
Could those be indicated, excuse me, as maybe senior living situations?
We initially identified this as a senior housing site, but then we wondered whether we want to restrict it because we do have senior living independent already. We have senior living dependent, we have memory care, Alzheimer's, and we have 3 senior living sites already. So that is why we decided to call this multi-generational. What if it is,
Well, I wasn't referring to the whole, I'm talking about those multifamily sites, the ones there in the middle that you just pointed out. Could those be, let's say, established as senior living for just that multifamily ranch situation?
it could possibly be. You could have portions of the site, that portion of the site could be dedicated to seniors, and then the rest of it could be for different, because when we were looking at the concept plan, we were thinking maybe we need to have, it's not very dense, as you can see, because we realized the fact that this is originally an ag and estates area. So the density of development is very less, even though the recommendation would be to rezone it to R1A or RM. We are cognizant of the fact that it is next to Country Pond Estates. Even if you compare it, you can see that the density of development here is much less than Country Pond Estates.
And
We
you
have kept it
feel,
low.
you feel that a development like that in that location would be in keeping with the rural agricultural
Exactly.
nature of the southern part of our township?
Exactly, because we are trying to maintain all the wooded area, we are trying to maintain the drain, we are trying to maintain the natural rural residential character of the area. But the reason why it will have to be rezoned to R1A or RM is the fact that they are attached units.
That's pretty cool.
Because RM would not allow for attached units. The fact that you have attached ranch units, the density is probably really low for that size parcel, but the fact that the type of unit styles that you're proposing would not be allowed in ag and estates. Ag and estates would require large detached acreage lots. This would actually preserve more of the land area as is. It would, if you look at the previous parcel, it would actually help you preserve a lot of the wooded areas. There is actually a creek or a drain or something that runs over here. It would help you preserve that intact. It would help you give a mix of detached homes, creating adequate buffer with the existing single-family homes so they don't feel like, they are being encroached upon. And it'll at the same time give seniors or, the type of ranch-style living, not lonely living where you have like one little house on a huge acreage parcel. It's a very neighborly, small community, but ranch-style living. It gives them the opportunity to do that too. The homes are not very big, but they're comfortable living. So we thought This was a really nice concept to stay with.
So to go with these two options or concept plans, would there be some ordinance changes for densities that would be required?
Yes, yes. So that is the whole point with the three concept plans. We picked three sites, three diverse sites. The goal of these diverse sites and this concept plan is to throw up all the obstacles that zoning poses to trying to implement any. One is a commercial site like Lakewood Shopping Plaza. One is a rural residential site, and the Fordland parcel is in our B-Rod. So there are three diverse sites. What are the obstacles to making housing a reality happen in these three diverse sites? And so we'll try to tailor zoning text amendments accordingly. So that's what
They would
we'll
have to
try.
be different
Yes.
descriptions from a
Yes.
zoning standpoint.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
Fall under something like PRD,
which one?
something like this, could that be established as a PRD?
It could probably be established as a PRD, or we might looking at the ag and estates and seeing if some tweaks can be made to the ag and estates open space development. We'll have to look at all portions of the ordinance to see what would be the most efficient way of doing it to provide protections for existing neighborhoods while making this happen.
I get it. And so then if we get the grant, then we have the money to go ahead and do the study to update the ordinance so that this kind of development can be more easily attainable by developers or property owners. Is that right?
No, this is the grant. This is the study that
So
is
we're
being
doing
done.
it,
on-
we're doing it now. Okay,
We are
I
doing
see.
it
I
now.
got it. Oh, I get it, I get it, I get it.
We are doing it now.
Just want to know my head's in the right place.
This is the third site, so I'm not going to I think I went over a lot longer on that. This is our biggest site, our 181 to 190 acre. I think it's got a little bit of the right of way. Our Fordland parcel, what we call it, it is currently zoned C2. It is in our Belleville Road Overlay District, our B-Rod. The future land use for this is mixed use. The proposed use, now the B-Rod does have mixed use. We have BRMU, Belleville Road Mixed Use District, we have in our zoning ordinance. But the proposed uses would be residential, mixed use, public, municipal uses, a mix of all of it. So we would have to make some changes. We'll have to amend the B-Rod a little bit to make some of the mix of uses that we are showing you in the concept plan a reality. We'll have to. This one is something that we can make it because this is a township-owned parcel. This can serve as a very good textbook case for what and all can we actually implement realistically. So we'll have to do some B-Rod amendments, and the master plan also recommends a roadway connection. So this is the concept plan for the Fordland parcel. Now, if you look at those are all protected wetlands. The northwest portion, for now, they are all marked on the Eagle website as protected wetlands, so we have left them untouched. If you look at this road over here, this lines up with Robson Road. That is Robson Road. No, this is Robson Road. I'm sorry. This is Robson Road. So this is Clover Development. So when Clover was approved, if you recollect, we made sure that Clover had setback maintained from future Robson Road. The master plan clearly delineated that Robson needs to be a through road, and Robson needs to connect to Quirk someday. That was the master plan's vision. So it cannot go all the way through and connect to Quirk because you have wetlands. So Robson is going to go this way. It's going to come down this way. And that is how we are making the connection. And we are making the connection coming down this way, and it will connect to Quirk. So that it's going to take the route. So it is going to make the connection and implement what the master plan envisioned for Robson to eventually connect to Quirk. So it's got a roadway connection implementing. At the corner, all these red boxes that you see, those will be commercial/retail buildings, because that is what the B-Rod envisions in the front. It will have some amount of parking in the front, and the reason why we still showed parking is we have heard from N number of developers in the Belleville Road Overlay District that without parking in front of the building, the business cannot survive. I mean, we have heard from enough number of them, even though ideally we would like all parking concealed in the back. Enough number of them have told us they cannot lease out space, they cannot get businesses to come if they don't have parking in front. So we designed it with some amount of parking in the front. We have created a little square plaza kind of area in the middle. It's this would be approximately an acre plus in size with a fountain. It's sort of a gathering space. We did not put it towards the street side because we don't want this to be a drive-by feature. People pass by and say, oh, look, that looks so pretty, and keep driving by. We want this to be a feature that people actually drive into this area to see. And then you drive through the neighborhood, you have commercial, then you slowly go in, you have these pink ones are all traditional mixed use. You move in from the retail, you move into mixed use buildings. The mixed use buildings are the ones that will actually have retail, service-based uses on the ground floor, and suddenly you'll have condo, live workspaces on top. So it'll slowly get slightly more dense. Then from there, you will move on to the townhouses. Townhouses, more walkable type of units. And then you will have apartments, the more intense. So what we did is we tried to make sure that right now you have multiple family here. Across the street, we lined it up similarly. And then as you go further, we made sure the similar type of multiple family uses are there. And then we took the density less and less as it went to the back. So these are a few detached single-family residential lots that take advantage of having the wetlands and the wooded areas in the back. Those will be more of the prime kind. So this one parcel alone gives a complete range of mixed residential uses. You'll have everything from small detached single-family residential to townhouses to 12plexes to quadruplexes to mixed-use live workspaces to prime retail up front, plus road connection. So it'll be a complete neighborhood with streets, sidewalks. What you see over here in beige and all are bike paths, bike connectivity. So it'll make sure that it connects to the Belleville Road sidewalk system also. So this is the first blush for the Ford land parcels concept. So this is Township Hall is right here. So located right across from us. And there is cross-access. Like I said, this is a concept plan, but we will do more of access management where the curb cuts, only 2 curb cuts, main curb cuts are proposed. This is a pedestrian walkway. These are supposed to be brick paver walkways. They are not meant for automotive traffic. This is automotive traffic. So the curb cuts will also be minimized, and it is intended to be a vibrant neighborhood by itself, taking advantage of it.
Would that tie into Quirk Park that exists behind the township there, where they have the splash pad and?
Yeah, that's a neat location for having this kind of development because of all the community amenities we've got
Yeah.
on Tyler Road. I think that's neat. That's a neat
The new
concept.
community center and.
The amount of residences you have here, and you go down here, this is Quirk Road. So, and with the amount of like children and, you have Quirk Park and all of that, this will be a complete neighborhood. And then you have senior housing, anchoring it right there, the new independent senior housing. So this is a starting concept plan. So this is for feedback. So with this, the Van Buren Redevelopment Open House Workshop is on April 30th. It'll be from 6 to 8 p.m. at this hall, at which time we will have boards. We'll have several boards mounted. All of these concept plans will be mounted on individual boards and displayed. And so everybody will be able to use Post-its, write down their comments, what they like about it, what they don't like, what is better they would like to see. Then there'll be generalized boards where people can say, what do they think is missing in terms of housing in Van Buren? What do they think needs to be added? Or what do they not like about? So basically community feedback. We'll do a SWOT analysis, strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats. There is a QR code for a survey. You could scan the QR code. I believe there is also a survey sheet. Ron, there is a survey sheet that, I'm not very tech savvy, in case I didn't say that before. So that the QR code can be scanned for you to do your survey. The survey sheet has been posted onto the township's website. I believe it is, where else has it been posted, Ron?
It has been posted, it will be posted in the Belleville Independent for the next 3 weeks.
Okay.
And it's been posted on the township website. It's been posted on our social media pages, Facebook and Instagram. I believe that's it. I think we're going to post it at the museum as well.
So I think that's it. So the next key dates to remember would be tonight is the Planning Commission's community engagement, just to update you on what the steering committee has been working on. The steering committee has basically been Director Akers, it has been Trustee Martin, Donovan, and myself. We have met often to get updates on this and try to work on through these concept plans, try to make sure that this is stayed on target. Our community open house will be on April 30th. And then planning after the community open house, we will put together all the information that we have gathered from there, come up with a bunch of recommendations for you on what we gathered from there, what we think zoning changes need to be made. And then Planning Commission can discuss those zoning changes and give clear directions on which zoning changes you would like to go with to actually implement the findings of the public engagement session. And then you will go ahead and do the zoning review and adopt all the changes, text amendments. You'll have to put through all the text amendments. We can do that in 1-2 steps. You'll be doing a whole bunch of them in one go. And then you would just adopt it. We hope to complete the process by August. Okay.
Okay. I do have one question for you, Vidya. Apartments,
Yes.
I've always assumed them to be somewhat transient as far as the people that reside in an apartment. One reason is because they're not there, they're not encumbered to be there for a long period of time. How many of those people end up, if they leave the apartment, do they end up staying in the community? Do we have any idea how those people move, or if when they leave an apartment, how many become permanent apartment residents?
That is an interesting aspect. How many of them move from an apartment to homeownership in the same community itself, possibly, right? I should look into the data then. Let me see what kind of data we have gathered and overall what does the data reflect. That would be a very interesting thing to look into, what happens. And I have found in some of the other communities where we have recently done housing analysis studies also, it's apartment living is no longer transient living. Cost of
Okay.
apartment living is so expensive. A 1,500 square foot apartment's rent is now approximately $2,700.
That could change 5 to 10 years from now, too.
Yeah.
It's not like it's going to stay that way.
For all we know, it's going to go up even more. So,
Doesn't usually go up, doesn't usually go down.
but yeah, that's.
Larger problem.
Mhm. Yeah, I know. I've got some friends that have lived in an apartment, and bought a home, and it's been cheaper for them if they could afford the down payment, to get the down payment for the home, to reside at home than to pay the apartment.
No, and that's why
Rent.
affordable housing is important, and that's why we're
Mhm.
considering it. If you want to
Absolutely.
move from an apartment into the next step up, and we don't have it in this community, by definition, someone will move
Move
out of
out.
our community. And I think our Van Buren Township residents that are living in apartments ought to stay. I like Van Buren Township residents.
Yes.
Cell phone?
My cell phone?
Can you search first-time homeowner, age of first-time home buyer? I think it's 43. I just want to confirm my thought. I thought that's what I read. And I was astonished.
Wow.
It's actually, that's sad.
Yes, it is. I agree.
I think it's 43.
Thank you very
Okay,
much.
thank
It was a
you.
great presentation.
Yes.
My
Superb.
phone, Commissioner Grant, or I would have done it myself. Age of first-time homeowner. Or
It up
home
in the,
buyer.
you know-
43. I want him to come,
In
oh,
24,
38, I'm a
yeah.
little off.
Up from
38.
35 and 23, so it's,
It's going upward.
I think
you're
I think that's
describing
I think that's something SEMCOG tracks, right?
What was the age again, 38?
and, yeah, it was 35 in 2023, and it's 38 in 2024. So it's trending up, right?
Sad.
Just
Yeah.
People are raising
Bigger issue than,
kids in
than our
houses they own.
community.
What, hun?
People aren't raising children in homes they own, because by
Oh,
times they're 38, they're kids, you know, depending on when they got married. Of course, people get married later, but they could easily be not little kids.
But is some of that, I wonder if some of that has to do with the fact that people are moving jobs frequently. They're not staying with one company like they used to, the loyalty
Right.
to staying with. So they're moving, and if they move from, let's say they're living here and working in Dearborn, but leave here and go to work for GM up in Sterling Heights, are they going to make that drive from Van Buren to Sterling Heights every day, or are they going to move? You know, I wonder if some of that comes into play as far as being able to purchase first home, if they're not comfortable or stable where where they're employed.
People who are living in Van Buren Township and are renters living in apartments will come to this open house and give us the feedback. You know, this isn't, it would be very useful for us to have people who are in a renting situation or in a first-time home buying situation to come and tell us, what do they think about this development? Because that's who we're
I think
aiming
these
it at,
kind of
right?
townhouses and all would be very appealing to younger families too, right? Townhouses living, you have neighbors, more little kids in the
too.
neighborhood. It would be wonderful living for.
Vibrant, you know, the trend is that younger people want a more vibrant community where there's more people, more action,
Yeah.
et cetera, et cetera. But this all comes down to economics.
Well, it's going to be a great open house. I really hope we get a lot of people show up
The
for it.
missing people are the developers, right? The developer's gonna come in and he's gonna wanna, one of the things, that's why density is a big deal, because he's gonna wanna just build this thing to the max to get his return. And then the other thing is, what's the economic level of these developments, these actual physical homes or townhouses? Because the standard level is different too, based on what you can sell in the community or rent in the community. So there's a lot more to it. I like the ideas, I mean, especially the one along Belleville Road, because it feels like if it's done right, it would anchor Van Buren Township CBD, right? By creating some public spaces, places where people live and they would walk the streets. And maybe in a bigger picture, it might anchor Belleville to Van Buren Township by having bookends.
I think we are on solid ground that way because we have very good architectural standards. And I think the point of concern comes when, yes, when you're allowing for higher density development and you don't have any architectural standards or guidelines, yes, you're going to get a whole bunch of cheap, shoddy construction stuff because let's just maximize what we can and just get people in and be out of there. But when you have the quality, the amount of brick and the kind of architectural design standards that we require, you are going to get quality kind of development. And you've got to hold the line at that. The Planning Commission has got to hold the line and say, wait a minute, yes, you're going to get higher density, but it has to be top-notch looking buildings. So,
but then are we going to shoot ourselves in the foot then? Because then it becomes kind of like almost unattainable housing when we were looking for attainable housing, or we were hoping to fill the middle.
I have seen when communities that have lowered the bar, once you have lowered the bar, it's hit the ground and you can never pick it up again. I've seen that happen. And now they are struggling to lift the bar.
I understand that part. I'm just concerned that, you know, with the higher standards that we have, especially in the B-ROD, that the developers could be like, oh, this is nice, see ya, you know, because they're not making enough return on their investment, you know? That's all.
Yes.
Yeah, just a thought, you know, just a thought.
Okay,
Two parcels maybe would be more appealing.
okay. Anything else? Okay, moving on. Item 4, Residential Sign Standards Zoning Ordinance, Proposed Text Amendment. Presentation by staff. Director Akers.
Turn it over to Vidya.
Thank you, Ron.
Jeez, do you need a drink of water or?
5 minutes.
Yes, this is a very simple text amendment, Commissioners. This basically came as a result of, we haven't had residential development in a really long time. When we encountered this with Belleville Manor, oh, thank you, Ron. We encountered this with Belleville Manor when they wanted to redo their sign. At that time, they wanted to put in a new sign, and we realized, no, you have to put in your sign 30 feet behind the right-of-way. They said, well, nobody would know where we are. I'm like, yeah, actually, they wouldn't. But then they said, fine, we are not going to replace it. We are just going to keep it, and which they did. And then Cedar Chase came, and then I was like, okay, now we have a problem. It is a genuine problem. I mean, the whole point of a sign ordinance is sign should help in identification. So if we look at the example that we have provided over here, in some cases, based upon a right-of-way of 120 feet, if the road has got only one lane going on each side, from the edge of pavement, if you take the right-of-way, and then if you take 30 feet off, the sign is at least 74 feet from where a car is driving. They're never even going to know they missed the subdivision, and they're going to keep going. So kind of, the sign really doesn't serve any purpose. But we wanted to make sure we are not just changing the ordinance without checking what other communities are doing. And we checked, and literally every community, it is generally 10 feet, not 30 feet. I honestly don't know where 30 feet came from, but it's always been there. It's been there for over 20, 25 years in our ordinance. So we are just changing our ordinance now to align with other ordinances, which seems reasonable, that we allow one per frontage of a lot or development adjacent to where vehicles come in from, adjacent to a vehicular entrance. And the minimum setback shall be 10 feet, not 30 feet, from a lot line or public right-of-way, whichever is greater. We want to make sure that the reason why we put whichever is greater is, in some cases, for example, Tractor Supply Company, they had to dedicate a whole bunch of right-of-way, right? Their property line went well into the right-of-way. If we had told them to measure it from the property line, their sign would have been squarely in the right-of-way itself. So we want to make sure they're not in the right-of-way. So this is a very simple amendment. This only makes sure that it actually helps signs be placed where they will serve their purpose for residential developments. We fixed it for commercial developments. We had the problem in B-Rod, we fixed it. We had the problem for senior housing, we fixed it. We have to fix residential developments. So if you find this acceptable, if you would please schedule it for a public hearing, we can take care of it.
Commissioners' comments?
I think it's acceptable.
From what I read,
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I thought so too.
I think it's better. Are we ready then to go forward with a public hearing?
Grant, got anything on your mind?
Yeah, actually, I have a question. Just for clarification.
I saw the look.
Look, I couldn't see his face, so.
No, I'm trying to understand the diagram to the right. Are there situations where there might be a sign to a housing development where it's only a single street versus a double road, access in, out, where there's, where the median is basically pulled back over the right of way? The reason why I ask, I don't know if there's anything like that or if there can be, because obviously you don't want the sign blocking the sight lines when you're pulling up to pull out.
Correct. So if it's a boulevard and they want to place the sign in the boulevard, it still has to be 10 feet.
Which is good. The boulevard, the boulevard's understandable. I'm saying if it's a single access, is there usually anywhere?
A clear vision triangle has to still be maintained. Clear vision triangle would be measured 25 feet from where the right-of-way intersects with.
So it would have to be moved over if the setback was 10 feet off the is it off the
You
property?
can't put it in the clear vision triangle.
No,
and
I
that's existing.
understand that, yeah. So it can be anywhere outside that vision triangle? Okay, that's the question.
Outside the clear vision triangle, yes.
The clear vision triangle already exists. in
It
the
already
ordinance.
exists in the ordinance. It's already clearly
Okay,
defined.
that's all I want.
It would also have a height. Certainly it couldn't be.
Yes, within the clear vision triangle, nothing can be more than 36 inches.
Yeah.
Commissioner Atchison's stepped out, but I'd be in favor of directing staff to schedule a public hearing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Move to direct staff
Yeah,
to schedule a public hearing.
Yes.
You're not thinking of the next meeting, are you?
No, it would be May 14th would be the next available meeting. We could have the
Okay.
public hearing.
Ms. Chair, I formally move to direct staff to schedule it at the next
Does it
available.
take a motion to direct you
Yes.
for a public hearing? Okay. So we have a motion. Do we have support on the motion? Support. Okay. Motion and support to direct staff to schedule a public hearing on the sign amendment. Do we need roll call for that? We can do that by voice vote.
Voice vote.
Yeah.
All in favor?
All in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, schedule the public hearing. Director? Okay, we move on to item number 5, Commercial Exterior Lighting Standard Zoning Ordinance, Revision 2. Presentation by the township staff. Director
It's me.
Akers.
Thank you, Planning Commission. So after our last meeting, I went back and I made all the corrections the Planning Commission had asked me to. I added a section in for definitions, and that was very helpful because we were using terms such as lumen, foot candles, luminaire, Kelvin. I was like, you know what, might be a good idea to add definitions in. And so added definitions to explain what each of those terminology means, so anybody who's using the ordinance will find it easy. Added a very, very important definition for color temperature. This came about as a result of Commissioner Jar saying, what happens if you have somebody who's got downward directed and shielded fixture in the soffits of their house, but the house is still so bright. I mean, it is bright and it's hot. So I was trying to search for regulations. I was trying to describe it to my colleagues. I was saying, how do we regulate some light that looks hot or bright, you know? The measure for that, finally my husband helped me with that because he works in lights. So he said, you're basically measuring Kelvin. That is the heat or the cold level of lights. So Kelvin apparently is the rating which tells you how warm or cold a light is. So outdoor light must not exceed correlated color temperature. Every light fixture comes with a CCT rating on it. So of 300 Kelvin. To ensure use of warm white light that resembles natural light. If it is less than 3000 Kelvin, the light appears like a warm natural light. When it goes above 3500 Kelvin, it appears white. It appears white, it tends to look more of that bright kind of thing. So different communities have, not too many communities regulate it, but the communities that do regulate it are Ann Arbor regulates it, Northville regulates it, Commerce regulates it, and a couple of others too. They all vary. Some of them have a cutoff at 3500 Kelvin. Some of them have it as 4000. Some of them have it as 4500. To err on the side of caution, I put it as 3000 because I pulled up examples of what does 3500 Kelvin look at. I pulled up examples. 3500 also looks pretty bright. 3000 looks like normal, comfortable, this kind. Even 3500 start, 4000 is really bright white light. So this, I think 3000 would be comfortable. And this information can be noted on a photometric plan because photometric plans are typically drawn by lighting contractors, and that is part of a luminaire. Whenever a luminaire is there, it has already got a CCT rating on it. So it's not something extra they have to do. It is just part of their plans itself. I went to, under prohibited lighting, I actually clarified it because question came up. Unshielded illumination of exterior of building and landscaping is prohibited except for low illuminance. Question came, I think, why are we switching between lumens and watts and different type of ratings because they use one or the other. So I decided to take out watts because watt was not used anywhere else except in this one place. So I removed watts and I said accent lighting not to exceed 400 lumens. 400 lumens is what is used in standard all accent landscaping. I checked what is the landscaping industry standard for lighting up building accent from 300 to 400. 400 would make it look attractive. So that's what we put in. Pedestrian walkway, I clarified it. Commissioner Creel had asked that. He said, are you regulating even people lighting their walkway? So I clarified that this doesn't include those 24-pack solar stakes that we get in Lowe's and Home Depot. So no, we don't regulate that. You can put that on, so that should be good. I removed item 7 because it was repeated. It was actually confusing. It was prohibited lighting and exempt lighting. So I made sure to remove it. I also added that lighting up the flag of the United States of America is exempt. I mean, you can light up the flag, so that should be fine.
Does it, are you restricting the lumens for that too? Because I looked at 400 lumens is about 30 watts.
To illuminate the flag?
No, I'm just saying, is there?
I did not put any in, should I? I wasn't sure.
I mean, if somebody comes back and says, well, it says 400 lumens, that's not gonna light up a flag. 30
Yeah, that's
watts.
because depending upon the height of the flagpole, right? If the flagpole is too high, then the bulb is not even going to reach it to light it.
So the language says the fixtures and systems are exempt from the regulations of this section, so if it's brighter, it'd be exempt from the illumination sections of the section, or like, I think it would.
It would, seems like it would.
Yeah. I really didn't want to go down the road and tell somebody they've lit up the flag too much, so I think we'll just leave that alone. Please light it up. We're not even going down there, just. So with regard to administration, I did add photometric plan shall be superimposed on top of the site plan and shall be legible. I know it seems counterintuitive, but I'm so tired of looking at photometric plans where even with glasses and a lens, I cannot read what is written.
Well, and sometimes we get them photo reduced, so we don't even get the full table size plan. I can't read those numbers on them. They're just a single dot of ink. So thank you for making that. It's a great idea. You can't read them half the time, and I don't know if it's a facet of the software they use
Brittany was
or
laughing
what.
at me last week because I had glasses, then I had a lens, and I was like, I still can't see what's written over there. I can't read what's
The
written on
problem
there.
was the color temperature of the light wasn't right.
It was all blurred. I was like, okay, nothing wrong with my glasses. They're new. Something is wrong with the plans because I can't see anything in them. So I add shall be legible. So I think at this time, it's addressed all the concerns the Planning Commission had. So if you're comfortable, if you would set this also for a public hearing, it'll also come on your May 14th meeting along with the sign ordinance.
So nice, yeah, it's like,
Any comments?
Looks good, it looks consistent, it's modernized, it understands what LEDs are. I like it. I'd recommend it for public hearing.
Anyone else? Comment? Question?
You want to formally recommend it, or shall I?
yeah, I just have a question.
Yes.
That's why I was looking that way.
Almost put it away. Okay. Yes.
No, it has to do with the, well, it says prohibited lighting. We're restricting exit lighting not to exceed 400 lumens.
Yes.
It's 30 watts, which really, it's not. I'm just saying if someone comes in with a landscape plan for a pretty heavy-duty landscape plan and they want to light it up, is 30 lumens too restrictive, do you think?
I actually went to landscape companies and I looked at multiple landscape companies. I, entered in theirs. I said, what is the typical lumen level that you use to illuminate landscaping for accent? All of them came back with 350 to 400.
Okay.
So
Good then.
I went to the industry itself. I didn't want to put in a number for them and they're like,
That's fair.
I don't want to decide for them. I thought if they
Somebody
think
could make
that
a
is.
case too, if it was something
Yes,
really,
yes.
yeah, okay.
How does this affect seasonal lighting?
Holiday lighting, you mean?
Yeah,
Exempt, right? The string lights, it is exempt. Yeah, decorative holiday lighting fixtures is exempt. Your Christmas lighting and all that is exempt.
okay,
Put your house up.
okay, yeah.
And even a festival and civic lighting, like you light up the community center, all that is exempt.
I'd like to make a motion to schedule a public hearing for the commercial exterior lighting standard zoning ordinance revision.
Support that motion.
We have a motion and support by Commissioner Grant and Commissioner Jar. Do we have any discussion?
Yes.
Then all in favor of scheduling for a public hearing, signify by aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, general discussion and updates.
I have nothing other than to indicate that the next planning commission meeting is going to be a long one, so just please show up and
What's that date?
it's April 23rd, and so we're going to have preliminary site plan approval for 4 projects, and then we may have a facade approval for one of the subdivisions, and one additional facade, so that one should be easy, but it'll be preliminary site plan approval for Chick-fil-A, preliminary site plan approval for McDonald's, preliminary site plan approval for an addition at Contract Welding and preliminary and final site plan approval for a canopy addition at, it's not L&W anymore, is it Auto Kination?
Kineton.
Yeah. Yep.
And you also have public hearing for the conditional land use at Chick-fil-A.
Yes, yes.
Oh, definitely, that's gonna be a big deal.
Okay. Any,
Mr. Chair, I have just a general discussion item.
sure.
I was wondering, among the other planning commissioners, what you guys would think if there was a way where we could, for the yearly round of fireworks, special use people coming in, if there was a way that we could put some constraints on it to say, if it's a fireworks special request, and it's for no more than 2 weeks, and it was a previously approved plan seen by the planning commission and has not substantively changed, if we could empower staff to administratively allow it going forward, or come up with the language to allow it. When it's the same thing, it's a ritual, I like it, it's nice, but man, when it's the same people for the last 12 years, it seems like, you know, nothing's changed. Ms. Williams has checked, it's the same as last time. As long as everything's in it, we could just, I trust our staff to be able to check that, you
Of
know?
those checklists, I don't know if you said no prior year issues.
No prior year issues, and, you know, and no, I mean, I would, if someone brought up that, hey, this guy was a problem last year, and staff felt that at any time it needed to come, and they wanted to bring it to us, bring it to us, that's at staff's discretion.
And if it was the first time person coming, it might be something that would come to the.
Coming through, I think we really ought to review it so that we are all clear on what's happening where, but when it's year number 12 and there hasn't been a problem and it's the same plan every year,
Same guy stood up there. He keeps getting taller too.
New haircut? Yeah, exactly. You've grown up.
I mean, staff would probably need to figure out, you know, what the verbiage would be on it and how to make it happen, but I'd really be in favor, because I feel bad having those guys come here every year and we go, okay,
Yeah, they go through the same thing and then we say yes and they go.
and I'm not suggesting that we skip the verification, okay? I really am saying staff needs to make sure that it's right, but if staff's willing to do that, I'm willing to trust that it was done in those cases.
So
I mean, aren't you guys doing that now to make sure it's right before they bring it to us?
Yes.
So it'd just be saving them time and effort from getting here.
So I would agree, we talked about this. Is it limited just to fireworks? Are we talking hot dog stand?
No, I would say just for the fireworks,
Okay,
ones that
good.
happen every year, exactly the same way, not for more than 2 weeks. I mean, they all want to be exactly the same time, that 2-week window. It's the same every year, and we get 3 of them every year, right? 3?
It's more than 3, isn't it?
Well, it feels like it's been more than a few years.
We get Phantom and TNT.
Phantom and TNT.
Phantom has 2 sites, TNT with 1. So,
If staff
Okay.
would be willing to look into that, I'd be willing to entertain talking about
We
it.
have to change ordinance language, right, of some sort.
No, I think it can be addressed differently. The planning commission can always adopt a policy at your meeting where you direct that based upon staff checking these things, you authorize staff to approve it on your behalf if these things are met. You can do it as a policy also.
Staff would be willing to draft that policy. I think this consensus would be that we'd be willing to listen to it or read it and consider it. Maybe help speed things up a little.
Something together for the meeting on the 14th.
Yes, nothing more on the 23rd. We're going to be here all night.
Upload
We'll be
it
here all
all.
night.
No.
okay, anything else for anybody? I saw something I was going to ask you about, Director Akers, and I can't think of what it is, where I saw some construction going on. I know there behind the mobile station that we had the sign taken down there on Haggerty and 94.
Yes.
There's fill going in there. Do we have any idea of what's happening with that?
With the, are you talking about the site over by where Independence and Haggerty come together there?
That whole triangle area, I see
Oh,
machinery
we've-
in there.
We've mailed them a violation letter. We're taking steps.
Okay.
So,
Okay. And there was another spot, but I can't remember where I saw it. Okay, anybody else? Anything else to be spoken? Then I guess we can entertain that motion that we all wait for at this time.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Support.
We have a motion, support to adjourn. All in favor signify by aye.
Oh, aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, meeting is adjourned.